trying to do that, right? But the idea really is then, no, Expo wants this. Like, seriously, like, this is good for them, right? Because they recognize, and I guess this is a plug, I'm not intending it to be, and this is where capitalism just gets maniacal, if you think of it in that sense. I don't think it's maniacal, I think it's rather genius. But Expo is like, no, this is precisely the moment that we want to highlight our markers. Because Dr. Campbell chose these markers. I could have chosen a different marker, but these markers are reliable. I like how it feels, how it glides on the surface. I like the ease with which I can erase the board. I make a line, I erase the board, and it's gone. I've spotlighted, I've highlighted, in a sense, the marker, the equipment. But the equipment then falls into the background, and it allows the equipment to, well, no, look, this is the point of the equipment. The point of this equipment is to function in educating. Right? This is a tool of education. And insofar as it is a tool of education, it even transcends sort of just the product itself. Right? It becomes an implement for educational exchange. Right? So it's important, it's extremely important to recognize this modality. Right? This, even as simple as it is, it's merely a thing when it's resting idly as equipment. Hopefully you can see it. I don't know if you can see it. But when it's resting idly on this tray, it's just a mere thing. It's ready to hand. It's ready always for me to use. I pick it up knowing that it's still filled with ink. I get my notes. I get my eraser. I stand here. The marker, prepped, ready. Hi, I'm Dr. Jason J. Campbell, and I want to thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. Uncap it, and then the function. And then I go into the lecture series, and I'm lecturing, and I'm writing on the board, and I'm looking at my notes. The pen, the marker, ready, functioning. I'm totally unaware of the fact that I have a marker in my hand, or the point of the marker. The marker becomes my hand. The notes become my hand. The eraser becomes my hand. And I'm functioning. And it's functioning. And we merge. We merge into one confluence. Right? And then I do the lecture where I'm lecturing on the marker and I'm aware of it. And it's trippy. It's trippy, right? So that modality is, for me, I could do this all day long. I can't do it all day long because I have little babies that I want to go home and hug up and kiss. But I love it, right? I love this stuff. All right. So we see then that reliability, top of page 7. Reliability becomes an antecedent for usefulness, right? It's because it's reliable that it's useful. It can't be useful if it fails reliability. If it's wobbly, when I hit, if I grab the hammer, I go to hit the nail and it wobbles, it's not a reliable hammer. I'm not going to, the likelihood that I'm going to use a wobbly hammer, I'd use it if it's the only hammer that I have. Assuming that I have a second hammer, I'm not going to select the wobbly hammer, right? So that the fact that it is reliable makes it useful, right? The fact that Dr. Campbell is uploading lecture series after lecture series after lecture series after lecture series, as I told you guys, and people took it as a challenge. I didn't mean it to be a challenge. I really don't. I mean, you can watch all of my videos, certainly, but it's, you know, it's I don't make these videos for one individual to watch all of them. You know, in a sense, I think of myself as being the only one who's, I don't watch them, I perform them, I do them. But the reason why I do such a diversity is because in the end, I have a checklist. Does he have a metaphysics lecture? Check. Does he have a epistemology lecture? Check. Does he have a Plato lecture series? Check. Does he have a Kant series? Check. Does he have a aesthetic series? Check. Does he have a AI series? Check. Does he the main stuff in philosophy, so that when it's all said and done, after about 3 to 5 years worth of work, I can step away from this knowing that there is a complete virtual curriculum from head to toe, super in-depth, of all the major stuff in philosophy. The existential series, which all of this is still in the works, right? The existential theory series, the semiotics series, the metaphysics, the epistemology, and on and on and on, the ethics, blah, 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 right? So that I can step back, because I'm not going to do this forever, but I can step back and know that I have made the most meaningful contribution to the series, and that reliability makes what I'm doing useful, right? The fact that you can rely on the fact that I can rely on the fact more than you. I rely on the fact that I want this virtual curriculum up, and I want it to be super extensive for no other purpose than saying that, yes, I know as a professor, as a PhD, teaching at a university, what the curriculum should be. I'm going to make that curriculum as in-depth as possible, and it will be holistic in its scope, so that, no, there is an entire undergraduate curriculum for philosophy online for free. It requires a freaking tremendous amount of work. You think about 120 credit hours, probably 60 to 80 of which are in the specialization. So you're talking about 60 to 80 credit hours. Each class, 3 credit hours. Each class, 3 hours, maybe once or twice a week. 15 weeks out of the year, you can do the math on how many hours that would constitute. It's a lot of hours, right? It's a lot of hours. So time is of the essence for me. But there is a sense in which Heidegger's genius really, it translates beyond the discourse of sort of logic and epistemology and such. In terms of aesthetics, right, there is a sense in which the art becomes useful because it never fails me. That's why it's always in my presence. It never fails me. It always is useful. This art is there ready for me to look at it, to engage it, to incorporate it into the lecture series, to infinitely reference it, to tacitly be aware of it, and have it influence what I do. That's what art does, right? That's what it does. I don't know what this world would be like. I couldn't imagine living in a world without art. It would be awesome to have a visual depiction of someone living in a world without art, and it would be artistic. That depiction of a world without art would itself be artistic. It's like you can't not exist without art, right? It's always here. Okay, so quote at the top of page 7: "The usefulness of equipment is nevertheless only the essential consequence of reliability." Hence, justifying the conditional, right? So that reliability becomes the antecedent for usefulness, right? It is useful because it's reliable. I select the hammer to use because it's reliable. Simple. All right, so let me just read a section to legitimize that. The usefulness of this is the next paragraph, same page, 95. "The usefulness of the equipment is nevertheless only the essential consequence of reliability. The former, that is the former is the usefulness. The former vibrates in the latter. That means usefulness vibrates in reliability, and would be nothing without it." You can't really talk about usefulness independent to reliability. Usefulness is only understood in terms of reliability. "A single piece of equipment is worn out and used up." Here's the important point. A single piece of equipment is worn out and used up, but at the same time, the use itself falls into disuse. The more I use it, yes, it's reliable, but eventually the process of use makes it sort of used up. It falls into disuse. It wears away and becomes usual. The equipped mentality wastes away, sinks into mere stuff. In such wasting, reliability vanishes. The equipment becomes used up, right? And insofar as the equipment becomes used up, because I've used it for so long, because it's been my go-to hammer, because it's been reliable, there comes a point at which it like everything else, weakens. This segues perfectly into a philosophy of death lecture, which I will also contribute to the world. But it becomes used up, it wears away. We're not talking about Thor's hammer here. We're talking about a regular hammer.